This is the business of pop culture, where we explore the intersection of entertainment, media, and consumer engagement. Business of pop culture face to face for the first time ever. How are you doing?
I'm good. This is, I'm shouting, but I'm good. No.
So, Julia, what are we talking about today?
We are going to be talking about Bluesky, which is the latest sort of maybe heir apparent to Twitter, and basically what it means for the wider online content ecosystem. Because it's been quite interesting. Obviously, we've had quite a few platforms sort of cycle in and out of awareness and popularity over the last couple of months, like Mastodon, which may have turned away a couple of people because it seemed complicated to use. And now Bluesky is the latest that sort of just blew up over the last week, really. It's a project that initially came out of Twitter. In fact, it was incubated there in 2019, backed by and under the tutelage of Twitter founder Jack Dorsey, which is, of course, useful when you're trying to create a Twitter clone to take over. Sure. Absolutely right. And yeah, they are now currently seeing huge runs on their invitations because they're currently in beta testing. The platform is eventually going to be decentralized, which means anybody can kind of create third-party programs that feed into the Bluesky platform. But basically, at the moment, it is really just a Twitter clone, but Twitter like it was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, so you've got this theory that this is kind of the return of old school web, basically. The web for Gen X, my generation.
And, potentially elder millennials.
Myself, yeah. So obviously, I'm a long-time Twitter user. I remember back in the old days when it was fun and a good place to hang out. And obviously, it's got a bit more toxic recently. So your theory is that these new sites like Bluesky and there's others that you're going to talk about are tapping into this kind of Gen X need for, the old values.
Yeah, the old ways, which in the widest sense is quote unquote just text posting. Microblogging, in fact. There's been some actually quite extensive coverage over the last couple of months from culture writers who's kind of calling out for the return of blogging and the sort of personal long-form sharing platforms and just modes of expression and presenting yourself online that aren't contingent on you showing your face to camera, which can be terrifying when you haven't had enough sleep last night.
Well, that's an interesting point, though, because, we're seeing a potential shift to video for Twitter. Tucker Carlson, who obviously lost his contract at Fox News a couple of weeks ago, is launching a TV show on Twitter, one must assume in collaboration with Elon Musk. Potentially, we're going to see much more video and audio-based content on Twitter. I think Musk is also trying to launch video calls and audio calls via Twitter. So the return to text and blogging and all that old style stuff is very much at odds with what's kind of happening there.
I think actually in the return to text and the old style blogging is sort of in line with backlash against recent similar developments we've seen. I mean, when Instagram went to more reels being shared in feed and on autoplay last summer, users hugely rebelled against that because it's always the same level of interaction and kind of high level engagement. It doesn't really let people create their own journey when they're online. You can't consume information at your own speed when it's autoplayed at you in a video feed. And I think as more and more platforms are pivoting to short-form video, which is, the pivot to video 2.0, they're leaving behind a gap in the market that's actually now becoming quite obvious in the sort of platforms that are drawing audiences. And I don't think it is exclusively an older generations thing, even though I'm sure nostalgia plays a role here in the sense that we're aging out of the internet that we built. But, if you look at things like the renaissance on Tumblr and the growth in younger users over there, I think is just really illustrating that people are looking for different modes of online consumption and connection that aren't just this one live stream of video all the time.
So what other platforms are you seeing that are sort of tapping into this trend?
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing that actually just came out this week. So Danielle Laverian, who was one of the co-founders of The Toast, which was a seminal online blogging and journalism webpage until 2016, and Joe Livingston have now launched a webpage again, which is called The Stopgap, tagline being "It's better than nothing." And they are bringing back old school online personal essay writing, journalism adjacent almost. It's the whole idea that you're basically presenting news or current events commentary, but as if you're having a drink with a friend maybe. So, it's not necessarily packaged for commercial consumption, but rather the way that the specific person wants to tell you about it. And in fact, Nieman Lab, in writing about the stopgap, has called it the website for people who miss websites. So again, that's kind of feeding in that direction. And then also last month, of course, we have quite prominently seen Substack launch their own microblogging format.
Substack Notes, yes.
And once again, I think these emerging new old platforms show that there's actually a consistent desire amongst audiences to better curate and compartmentalize where they spend their time online and why they spend their time online. And an environment that allows them to control, even to the smallest extent, the kind of thought and information they're going to be exposed to when they go online, I think is going to be much better for mindful consumption and the way we just regulate the information overload that we've all been experiencing.
Fantastic. Well, I hope we can meet again in reality at some point. Thank you, Julia, and we'll see you next week.